party goers, it is time for our next party trick. And this one was requested by Janine. Thank you so much, Janine. We were working on talking about this muscle during our last private lesson together, and she requested that I share a little more information on it. So specifically, we are working on the quadratus lumborum muscles today. What are the quadratus lumborum muscles? They're also known as the QL muscles, and they're the muscles on your back. So there are muscles that run on each side of your spine, and they run from the base of your ribs, and they attach to your PSIS, which is basically the top of your hip bones in the back. PSIS is posterior superior iliac spine. So basically when you're touching the back part of your hips, it's connecting there. This muscle I wanted to introduce around the same time as I introduced the psoas and the obliques, because our psoas gets really tight, which causes our quadratus lumborum to also get tight because we have more of an anterior tilt of our pelvis when our psoas is tight, which means let's see. So if my psoas is tight, my hips do this, which means there's a lot of contraction in my QL muscles, and I want to release them. So that not only helps with posture, but it's also gonna help us with our tuck seams and our shimmies in just a little bit. So I wanna get into releasing those muscles. We hold a lot of tension there. I also like this exercise after you've been working on aerobics and body waves. So a lot of times when we're working on aerobics and body waves, if we're not focused on our upper body and we're letting too much of our lumbar spine move with those, then our low back starts talking to us after a while, especially after aerobic and body wave class, where that's what we've been doing for 30 minutes. So this exercise is going to be, I personally feel, it's going to be a little more productive than just a forward fold. When you're forward folding, you're putting a lot of compression on your low spine after you've just spent all this time kind of working on it. So I like this exercise. I want you to just try it out and see what you think. Okay, so I'm gonna start in a seated position. If you can't sit cross-legged, that's completely fine. Just sit whatever's comfortable for you. You can even sit with your back against a wall for this exercise. I'm gonna sit with my knees crossed, or my feet crossed rather, and I'm gonna place my block on its highest setting, just to the outside of my right knee. And then I'm gonna put my right hand just to the side of my right hip. Okay, so we're gonna take our left arm and make a 90-degree angle. So you're sitting up nice and tall, almost like you're just kind of waving, getting ready. And what I want you to do is round your spine and touch your block, and then come back up. So this time we're gonna hold it for a few moments, and I want you to think about what you're feeling along the left lower side of your body, okay? So rounding my spine, touching my block. So staying right here, you can even really contract and squeeze your core in, squeeze your abdominals in, especially along the side body or obliques, and you may feel even more of an opening in your QL muscles. You can also make sure that your left hip is really still pressing down into the floor, because we'll tend to just kind of lean up. So really pressing your left hip down to the floor. If this is too far for you and you're like this and you can't touch any farther, that is absolutely fine. Maybe you have a second block if you need to, or put books or something underneath your block and just bring the floor closer to you. So let's come back up. Okay, so rounding the spine, touching the block, really pulling in, contracting your core muscles, pressing your left hip down to the floor. Oh my goodness, this feels so good. And then coming back up. Okay, and I like to keep this 90-degree angle, because then I'm not just touching and touching, it's making you honest with your reach. Okay, let's do the other side. So taking my block, putting it next to my left knee, and then my left hand is next to my left hip, right arm at my 90-degree angle, okay? And just like with our psoas exercise, one side might feel a little more tight than the other, so move slowly the first few times through it to really find your edge, your point of discomfort, and then just hang out in that space for a few breaths. Okay, here we go. So sitting up nice and tall, Reach, 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 round, 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 round. And then coming up. Let's do that again, and let's check in with all the other elements. So rounding our spine, touching, touching, touching our block with our right hand. We're also really contracting our core, specifically our obliques on the left side, so the left side body kind of pulls us down a little bit more. And make sure that your right hip is pressing down to the floor. And then come back up. Okay, let's do that one more time because it feels really good. So sitting up nice and tall once again, round, 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 round. Touching your block, contracting your core, pressing your right hip down, having that opposition there, and then coming all the way back up. Good. So I like to do that one a few times, but really take your time and hold it. So maybe even hold each side for a few breaths and breathe into that space that you created. So when you're breathing into that space, it's basically just like letting your diaphragm expand, and it adds a little more pressure from the inside out, and it helps elongate that muscle a little bit more. So try that out. This is all in preparation for getting into our side body, specifically our tuck seam, and getting our shimmies nice and big. So we'll have a couple more videos related to the core and oblique area before we start moving up and getting into our upper body. So I hope you guys are having a great time with Block Party. Try this one out. Let me know how it goes. If you ever don't feel a stretch in any of these more stretching type ATS Block Party videos, just know that that is completely fine. So you may be really open in those areas, but hopefully this helps one day when you're feeling a little tight or needs a little more energy and need a little more pick-me-up. Stretches can bring in some of that energy for you as well. So have a good time, and I'll see you at the next Block Party.